Good day and welcome to Predators Proclivity, where we look at data from the season for the NHL Nashville Predators and make comments upon it. I'm your host, Preston Proctor. Today we're going to do the weekend preview. Yes, the Preds have a back-to-back this weekend with the Toronto Maple Leafs coming on Saturday and the New York Rangers on Sunday. Both of those games, 6 p.m. 6 p.m. start, not 7, not 1, not 5 in the morning. Both games are at 6. A little bit of a surprise, but it's not. I mean, at least they're not starting at 8:30 at night, you know. Anyhow, I'm going to preview both of those games. So it's a back-to-back for Nashville. It's also a back-to-back for Toronto, and it's a back-to-back for New York. So all three teams are playing both days this weekend. I do have some data on that, and hopefully I'll remember to get to it. I've been forgetting to look at my back-to-back spreadsheets, and what the heck? We can just start in on that. I guess the other kind of interesting news is that Saturday night there is a roster freeze. I don't know how long the NHL has been doing this, but it seems like I think last year they did too. But over the Christmas holiday, they do roster freezes. I guess they don't want people's Christmas being interrupted by finding out they've been traded. So they freeze the rosters. So it'll be frozen starting tomorrow night. So that's the 20th until the 28th when it reopens. There is some talk, as there always is, about what might happen post the freeze. I guess they're not expecting anything to happen, between now and Saturday night. But one of the potential trades, at least ESPN's talking about, it does involve a Predators player. Ryan O'Reilly, they're talking about Ryan O'Reilly going to the Capitals for forward Hendrix Lapierre and a first-round pick next year. They're also estimating that the Preds would keep 25% of the salary, and I don't think that sounds reasonable. But hey, what do I know? Just kind of going through here, seeing if I see anything else. They say there'll be trade between Minnesota and Utah, Vancouver and Buffalo, Dallas and Buffalo. The only thing here that the Bruins are trading with Vancouver to get Kiefer Sherwood, but I don't know. It's all they got to talk about something, and that's what they're talking about. So, anyhow, that's not necessarily that the Preds wouldn't make some sort of trade depending upon where they think they are. We are at the time of the year. The trade deadline is sometime in February. And the teams have to, figure out how, where they think they're going to be. If they are going to try to make a run for the playoffs, then they, try to make their team better for this year. If not, then how can they make their team better moving forward? As far as Ryan O'Reilly goes, he is next year would be the last year of the current contract, and he is an unrestricted free agent. Eric Halla and Michael Bunting and Cole Smith, those three are also unrestricted free agents at the end of this year, including also Michael McCarron and Tyson Yost. Svechkov is a restricted free agent at the end of this year. And those are forwards. Justin Barron, a restricted free agent at the end of this year, and Nick Blankenburg, an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. So it all kind of depends. They just trade Stastny. Noonan is a restricted free agent at the end of this year. There are Zachary Herrera is a restricted free agent at the end of the year. So is Ryder Rolston. Jake Lucchini is an unrestricted free agent at the end of this year. So there are, and Andreas Englund, got him in a trade last year. He's an unrestricted free agent. So is Jordan Osterley, Kevin Gravel, restricted free agent Jack Mattier, and I guess Magnus Krona, unrestricted free agent, Group 6, goaltender down in or up in Milwaukee. So I think the way this seems to work, or way teams prefer to do it, is if they are going to trade a player, they prefer to trade somebody who, they may not feel like they can retain next year, or may not care if they retain next year, that kind of thing. O'Reilly's got some good numbers this year. If somebody wanted some grit on the lineup, McCarron, he's 30, $900,000 a salary, unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Cole Smith has played really well. I think Eric Halla, modified no trade clause, 6 teams, no trade list. Oh, excuse me. And Michael Bunting. So I would, Bunting is 30, Halla's 34, O'Reilly's 34. So I would fall more if it's not that O'Reilly wouldn't be traded, but I would say probably Halla might be on the block before O'Reilly, or if somebody that the Preds might want to trade. He's 34, salary of $3.1 million, unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Michael Bunting, $4.5 million, unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. He's 30. So Halla's numbers have been pretty good, not to the level of O'Reilly's. But, yeah, I can see why other teams would want O'Reilly, especially if they were trying to make a run, that he could come in and make an impact. But there are a couple other players, I think, that could do the same thing. So I think it's, I think picking out O'Reilly is just somebody that I'm going to say this and then I'm going to be wrong, but is just lazy. But hey, the Capitals might need somebody like that. Where are the Capitals? It's kind of, just because we're talking about this. So they're second in the Metropolitan, 42 points. I think the other thing that would weigh into that is teams that have players with long-term injuries. Hendrix Leperrier, is that I think that's he's injured. Yeah. So the guy that the ESPN is projecting, or not projecting, but say a trade that could happen, and he's currently out, injured. So, it's all speculation, and that's all fun, I guess. Well, so this weekend, Toronto, New York, and Nashville. Toronto comes in on Saturday. Taking a quick look at their back-to-back records, they have played 5 back-to-backs so far. Interesting thing for them, and we'll get into this a little bit more, they have played 5 different goaltenders this year. And 4 of them have played in the back-to-back situations. They are not very good. They are 4-6 overall in back-to-back situations. At home, they're 3-3, and away 1-3. So 3-3, I guess, is okay. On the front end of the back-to-back, they're 1-4, and the back end they're 3-2. So they tend to not play as well. On the front end of back-to-backs. On the road, they're 0-2 on the front end, and that's where they're at this weekend. Nashville and Dallas are who they are playing, and both of those games are on the road. So I can put those into the spreadsheet. They have only had one back-to-back so far, which was the last one at the end of November. And they played a back-to-back. They lost the first one to Washington, then beat Pittsburgh. So, they've lost to Detroit. Well, I guess, and here's the other thing. The first back-to-back for them was against Nashville, so Nashville has met them in a back-to-back situation. Nashville played them for Toronto was in the back half of it. Toronto was the back end of the back-to-back. The Preds played Ottawa and then Toronto. It was the third and fourth game of the year for both teams. So Toronto lost to Detroit, beat Nashville. Nashville beat Ottawa and lost to Toronto. So, that's kind of interesting. This particular one with Toronto, Nashville is on the front end of it on the road. So that's for whatever it's worth. Gosh, who in the world is there? It looks like Woll and Hildeby. Woll and Hildeby are the current set of goaltenders that I think they've got in their lineup. So Lars is hurt. They've been sending goaltenders up and down, trying to make up for having, the starter and goaltenders being injured. But that's, so that's Toronto. Looking at the Rangers. The Rangers have played 6, so this is their 7th back-to-back. They're 4-8 in back-to-back situations. And Shesterkin and Quick are the two goaltenders here. In this particular situation, New York will be at home against Philadelphia on Saturday and then travel to Nashville. Home and away, they haven't done that particular sequence. They have 4 so far that were away and home. And those, they won the away game and lost the home, but the home was the second game in the series. So their 4 wins were all the front ends of back-to-backs. Wins coming against Pittsburgh, Detroit, Columbus, Boston. Losses coming against Washington, the Islanders, Detroit, and Tampa Bay. And then they have 2 back-to-backs that were both at home. And they lost all 4 of those games. The first one, Colorado, Vegas, both in overtime, 2-3 overtime. And then the other one, Anaheim and Vancouver, 1-4 and 0-3. So, so take that for what it's worth. I think, I quit picking goaltenders, but Shesterkin, I think I've been saying his name wrong. Shesterkin did play Thursday against St. Louis. Quick was in goal on Tuesday. So Shesterkin's only played 1 game in a row. 2 is the minimum that so far this year he has played. So I think most likely Shesterkin will be in net in the first of the back-to-back, and Quick will be the goaltender here in Nashville. That's just my guess. Quick has been in the back half of most of these. There's one series where Quick was in the opener, the front end, and then at the end of November, Quick was injured, and so Shesterkin played both games. And again, that was one of the ones that they won the first and lost the second. So just kind of how they have been faring. Nashville has only had 4 back-to-backs so far. They're 3-5 in those situations. This is a home and home. They've had 1 other home and home. They won the first one, a shootout win against Los Angeles, and then lost to Dallas the next day. And so far, all of their wins have been in the first game of the back-to-back. They're 0-4 in the second game, 3-1 in the front. Nashville will play 13 back-to-backs this season. That's 26 games. It's a significant number of games. Some teams don't play that many back-to-backs. But anyway, so that's kind of the back-to-back situation. And since I usually forget to get into that, nice to get that out of the way a little bit. So let's talk about the opponents. Saturday, 6 o'clock, Toronto Maple Leafs. They are currently 7th in the Atlantic Division with 35 points, 15-13-5. They are 5-8-0. On the road, they are 1 point ahead of Ottawa, having played the same number of games. 1 point behind Ottawa, playing the same number of games. 1 point ahead of Buffalo, playing the same number of games. And this particular division is competitive. 7 points. 7 points separate the top and the bottom. Detroit is on top with 41 points, and Buffalo is at the bottom with 34. So kind of a log jam in there. So Montreal is 7th, but, a couple days later, they could be 4th. It's there's a lot of movement from day to day. Excuse me. And, so that's where they're at. They have a few people who are injured. I mentioned goaltender Anthony Stolarz, number 41. They've been having a few. Wall was injured, and on the 16th of December, number 60 goaltender Joseph Woll returned to the lineup just in time for Stolarz to go out. Same day, actually. It's kind of not too surprising there. Stolarz not expected back until the 30th. Number 8 defenseman Chris Tanev, day-to-day, expected back on the 21st, which is Sunday, but we're playing Toronto on Saturday. Who knows? Number 25 defenseman Brandon Carlo is out week to week, not expected back to the 3rd of January. And number 3 defenseman Dakota Mermis, week to week, not expected back until January 10th. On the 16th, they sent number 70 goaltender Artur Akhtyamov. That's probably close. Akhtyamov. To the Toronto Marlies. They had called him up, and he was playing. He was playing, or at least he was backing up. I don't see that he has any. He's not listed as the goaltender of record on any game, but they brought him up. Like I said, they played 5 different goaltenders this year. They did pick up Caden Primo from Carolina off waivers on 10-6, and then they put him on waivers on the 8th, and Carolina picked him back up, which was kind of funny. But Primo got a few starts earlier in the season when it was Stolarz and Premu. And then, then they lost Premu, and I guess they must have brought up Hildeby, and then Stolarz went out, and Wall's been playing, and now, whatever. They've had their goaltender issues this year in Toronto. As I said, on the 16th, Joseph Woll did return to the lineup. On the 18th, they did a couple of moves, people that I had listed down as being injured. Number 63 left wing Matthias Maselli. He has returned to the lineup. He's not listed as injured. He did not play last night, but it looks like he is available. And number 83 defenseman Marshall Rifai, who had been day-to-day, expected back on the 20th. Now he's expected back on the 23rd, but he's been assigned to the AHL Toronto Marlies for conditioning. So a few roster moves for them. For the Rangers, they're 6th in the Metropolitan Division with 38 points, 17-15-4. Why does that sound so familiar? 15-13-5. Okay, so not the same record as Toronto. 17-15-4. On the road, they are 13-5-1. They have the best road record. Of course, they didn't win a game at home until Nashville came to town. They are a point ahead of Pittsburgh, but they played 3 more games than Pittsburgh. They're a point behind the Devils, but they played 2 more games than the Devils. There are 12 points from top to bottom in this particular division. But the Rangers have played the most, 2 games more than anybody else in this division. 3 games, 2 games from half of them, 3 from the other. So this is the first of 5 on the road. Did I mention that? Oh, for Toronto, backing up to Toronto a little bit. I guess I skipped through this. It is the second of 3 on the road for Toronto. They lost to Washington last night. They were 4-2-0 in their last road trip. They are playing a back-to-back with Dallas. And then they have 2 at home, the second of which is the front end of another back-to-back for them. It is the second of 2 versus Nashville. They are 1-0 against Nashville, having won 7-4 in October, the front end of a back-to-back, and last year the home team did win both. So that's Toronto. As far as the Rangers, this is the first of 5 on the road. Their last road trip, their schedule has a lot of one-game road trips, I noticed. They got a one-game homestand. So tomorrow they play a one-game homestand. Thursday was a one-game road trip. Backing up to December 10th, a one-game road trip. Back up a couple more games, a one-game road trip. And then a 2-game road trip at least. But yeah, they've got a lot of one-game road trips. Of course, I guess, is it really a road trip if they play the Islanders? Is it? The Thursday was to St. Louis. The other was Chicago, Ottawa. So, Ottawa. Yeah, they played home versus Dallas, then went to Ottawa, then were home versus Colorado. So, a lot of one-game road trips for the Rangers. Sunday's game will be the back end of a back-to-back. They're playing Philadelphia tomorrow, Saturday. And this is the second of 2 versus Nashville, and they are also 1-0 against Nashville, having won 6-3, their first win at home. Last year, the home team held serve in this series as well. So both of these teams, Nashville did beat at home last year after losing and lost on the road game, and so far they have lost the road game to both of these teams. So hopefully that particular situation continues. For personnel, they do have somebody out, maybe back, but after last night's game, number 10 left wing Artemi Panarin is day-to-day, expected back on the 20th, so he might be back for both games this weekend, but after last night's game, he got listed as injured. Having been injured prior to last night's game, number 23 defenseman Adam Fox expected back on the 27th. And we get to stats. Fox and Panarin have a lot of stats. So if Fox and Panarin are both not playing, I think the Rangers are in a touch of trouble. Also out, number 84 center Adam Edstrom. He's expected back on the 27th. So I'm not expecting Edstrom or Fox to be in Nashville, or at least playing in Nashville. And Panarin may or may not. Hard to say. A few roster moves for New York. On the 15th, they did activate number 73 center Matt Rempe, who had been expected back on the 29th, but he wasn't. But he finally did come back on the 15th. Well, he was expected back on the 29th when we met them before, so he was injured when we last met the Rangers. But now he's back in the lineup as of the 15th. On the 17th were the other 4 roster changes. I figured if I mentioned one, I had to mention the other ones. They did recall 2 players from the AHL Hartford Wolfpack. Number 78 left wing Brennan Orthman, and number 94 right wing Babe Perreault. Both of those recalled from Hartford, and The two other players they reassigned. Well, they reassigned one and they sent down the other. Number 65 left wing Brett Berard was reassigned to Hartford. And number 49 right wing Yaroslav, Schmeller. Schmeller? C-H-M-E-L-A-R. Schmeller? No idea. Sent down to Hartford. One reassigned, one sent down. For your Nashville Predators, they are 8th in the Central Division with 30 points. They are 13, 16, and 4. Working hard to get a winning record somewhere. I thought maybe the home record would be, I did not. I thought Carolina would win that game. But at home, the Preds are 8, 9, and 2. 8, 9, and 2, 13, 16, and 4 overall. They're 2 points behind Winnipeg, having played the same number of games, and 2 points behind Chicago, and have played one less game than Chicago. Did I get that right, or did I write that down wrong? Yes, Chicago has played one more game. Both Winnipeg and Chicago are 2 points ahead of Nashville. Again, Nashville is down here in the bottom, 1 point ahead of Vancouver, who is last in the league. Both teams have played the same number of games, 33. Predators are tied in points with the Kraken at 30 points, but Kraken have played one less game. Then moving up, we got Calgary, Chicago, and Winnipeg, St. Louis. So the bottom looks like Vancouver, Nashville, Seattle, Calgary, Chicago, Winnipeg, St. Louis, and then finally Columbus, the first Eastern Conference team. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 7 Western Conference teams ahead, behind Columbus. Well, then you get Columbus, Buffalo, Toronto, Ottawa. So then you get four, count them, 4 Eastern Conference teams. But I don't still, if you take a look at, taking a look at the wild card. I mean, I know there's a lot of speculation, and that's what media does. The Preds are 7 points out of a wild card spot. The 7 points out. San Jose has played 35 games. The Preds have played 33. So the Preds have 2 games in hand. Tied at 37 points is Utah, who has played 36 games. So the Preds, 7 points out of a playoff spot with a couple games in hand on the people that are currently in those positions. So you can't really say that they've been eliminated. And 7 points, if the Preds went on a little bit of a winning streak, they'd climb back up and start looking like they could, have a say in a wild card spot. The top of the Central Division, not really so much. Again, taking a look at the league, Colorado, Dallas, and Minnesota are the top 3 teams in the league. And then comes Carolina. Carolina's played 2 less games than Dallas and Minnesota. Dallas does have 5 points on Carolina, so that wouldn't be made up by 2 wins. Minnesota is 1 point ahead of Carolina, with Carolina having 2 games in hand. So potentially Carolina would be the 3rd and Minnesota dropped to 4th. But you still have to say, I mean, that's still pretty good, is that the Central Division has 3 of the 4 top teams. Figure out how you want to order them, but 3 of the 4 top teams. So, yes, is Nashville 17 points? They're 17 points out of the 3rd spot in the Central. Are they going to have the divisional spot in the playoffs? Probably not. That's probably hard to overcome unless one of those teams really goes poorly. Minnesota has a 10-point lead on Utah. So the difference between 3rd and 4th, 10 points right now, and Utah's played 1 more game than Minnesota. So probably not likely that Nashville would be able to move up into a divisional spot. We did see a collapse last year from a team, and so they went from Minnesota started out really hot last year, and then I think wound up being a wild card team. So it's possible to see it. And, you could see that Utah might be able to climb into a divisional spot or one of these other teams if they got hot. And in Minnesota or Dallas would have to go on a really bad streak. But it's potential for the top three teams in the Central not to be the current top three teams. But Nashville wouldn't be one of the teams that would take it over. But they could still be in a playoff spot. So, what do you do? So I'm just the things. It's not over. I'm kind of surprised that Vancouver has kind of given up. But they found a way to. Maybe Hughes was at the end. I didn't look at the trade. Didn't look at the numbers. But not out of the realm of possibility for even Vancouver to move up into a spot. They're 1 point behind Nashville, so they're 8 points out of a playoff spot. So that's not necessarily time to panic yet or give up, but you gotta start doing something. And if you haven't done it by the end of December, you better do it by the end of January, because February is the trade deadline. And teams are going to be looking to get the best value for what they can get based upon what they think the outcome of the season is going to be. And, For the Preds, moving back to the Preds, this is the first of a 3-game homestand. No, it's not. These 2 games are the second and third. Did not update that. The production staff blew it there. These 2 games are the second and third games of the 3-game homestand. They are 0-1, having lost to Carolina Wednesday night. After these 2 games, the Preds go for 7 on the road. 7 on the road. New to the injured list after the last game is number 81 right wing Jonathan Marchessault. He is expected back tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I think he's been showing up and dropping off and showing up and dropping off. Maybe he could stand a couple days off and whatever lingering issues going on, he can just kind of get over them and then come back and be effective. Justin Barron, number 20 defenseman, is expected back on the 21st. So that's Sunday. We'll see how that goes. And the other person on the list, number 89, center Ozzy Weisblatt, February 26th. That hasn't changed still month to month. Back in the lineup on the 17th, as of the 17th, is number 36 right wing Cole Smith. So he's been activated and back in the lineup. Now that we've talked about all of those things, now we get to run through some game stats. And so we are talking home. We have played 19. Yes, after this weekend, we will have enough home games to say they're statistically relevant for whatever they are. Trends. We talk trends here. Yeah, the numbers are statistically relevant, but the particular scenarios never really get that many. If 20 is your metric, don't always get to 20. Some of these stats that we look at will never get to 20 data points, but as far as just in general, we do. So let's start with the first goal here in Nashville. The Preds, when they get the first goal, they are 5-2-1, kind of a 2-1 advantage there. 4-2-1 if they get it in the first period, 1-0-0 in the second. When they do not, which is what happened the other night, they are now 3-7-1. So a little bit better than a 2-1 advantage if they don't, and kind of a 2-1 advantage if they do. If the first goal does happen in the first period, they are 2-7-1. So that's more like a 3.5, maybe 3 3/4, depending on how you want to count the overtime loss. If the first goal happens in the first period and the opponents get it. If they get it in the second period, that's happened once, and the Preds won that game. So, yay. All right. So, the Preds now in the winning by period. The first period. Let's start with the first period. They are 5-5-9 here in Nashville. So kind of evenly split between win-losses and ties. And then between win and losses, evenly split. So kind of a coin flip a little bit between a tie and something else, and a coin flip between winning and losing if they don't tie. If they get the first goal, they are at 5-0-3. So they have not lost the first period when they get the first goal here in Nashville. And when they do not get the first goal, they have not won the first period. They are 0-5-6. So kind of a coin, if they don't get it, a coin flip between tying and losing. Let's just skip the in period goals because it only happened once and it doesn't change the numbers too much here. In the second period, the Preds are 4-7-8, not very good. Like a 2-1 advantage to both to lose or tie. So I guess, what would that be, 15? So about a 4-1 advantage that they don't, 4-1 disadvantage that they do not win the second period. And they've gotten the first goal, kind of a coin flip, 2-3-3. And when they do not get the first goal, they are 2-4-5 in the second period. So when the Preds don't get the first goal, they are not that they haven't won the first period. They don't look too good in the second. Hey, the third period even worse, 1-8-2. So when they get the first goal, prospects are much better, even though they don't look very good in the second period at 2-3-3. In the third period, 4-3-1. When the Preds get the first goal. So when the Preds get the first goal, likely to win the first period. Hard to say about the second and the third, kind of a coin flip there too. So when, at least they're in the game. Granted, I mean, they're 8-9-2 at home, and you would think these numbers would be better. When they don't get the first goal, 0-5-6 in the first, 2-4-5 in the second, and 1-8-2 in the third. Just horrible numbers. Very surprising, but okay. So the thing that's interesting there is how does that translate to winning, losing the game, right? I mean, that's what really matters. They are at home. 5 times they've won the first period, but they're 3-2 in those games. In the 5 games that they've lost the first period, they've lost all of those. And 9 times they've tied the first period. At least they have a winning record. They're 5-4. The second period, similar. 4 times they've won the second period, but they're 2-2 in those games. 7 times they've lost the second period. They're only 1-6 in those. And then again, if they tie it, 5-3. So kind of it's where I get into this whole thing where at home I pull for them to tie the first and tie the second. Doesn't mean you can't score. That doesn't mean they can't score. But difference in scoring by period. Take a quick look at this. When the delta in the first period is 0, so when they tied the first period 9 times, 0, difference in scoring by period. So the delta in the first, 9, delta in the second, 0, 8. Delta in the third being 0 is 3. No, let's skip that. I don't think I'm making that seem very reasonable. Third period, let's go back to the third period, winning by period. The 5 times that the third period has won, the Preds have won the third period. The 5 times the Preds have won the third period, they are 4-1 in those games. 11 times they've lost the third period, 1-10, and then 3 times they've tied, and they've won all 3 of those. Taking out empty net goals, the Preds have still won the third period 5 times, so 4-1. The number of times that they've lost the third period does drop to 7 from 11, so that's four times that they have didn't lose the third period if you remove the empty net goals. And so those all became ties. So the Preds are 1-6 taking out the empty net goals, and then tying the third period 3 and 4. That's so 7 times that's happened, taking out the empty net goals, and kind of a losing record there. Doing the combinatorics here at home, the thing that has the situation that has happened the most 4 times is tying the first and tying the second. That didn't happen the other night. The other night they did lose the first and then tied the second. But tying the first, tying the second has happened 4 times, and the Preds have won the game all 4 of those times. In the situation like the other night where they lost the first and tied the second, they've lost all 3 of those. The only other situation that's happened 3 times is to tie the first and lose the second, and that's happened 3 times, and the Preds are 1-1-1 in those situations. And the only scenario that has not happened yet is to lose the first and win the second. They have not done that yet. 4 times they have won the second, and that's evenly split between winning the first twice and tying the first twice. When they win the first, win the second, generally you win the game, and they did win both of those. When they tied the first and won the second, they are 0-1-1. Losing the first, losing the second happened twice. They lost both of those. Winning the first, losing the second twice, lost both of those. Losing the second period is undoubtedly the worst scenario given all of those scenarios, winning the first, losing the first, tying the first. That's happened 7 times. They're 1-5-1. Tying the second has happened the most 8 times, and they are 5-3-0, right? So, so I kind of have to pull for tying the first and tying the second. Like I said, I should go back and try to make sense out of this this difference in scoring by delta, by number of goals scored, and times it's happened, and the way I can make sense. If I understand it, I can explain it, and it's kind of interesting. I got this whole graph of number of goals scored in the second based upon the delta in the first, and similarly for Pred scoring in second relative to that's what I'm looking for. The Preds scoring in the second relative to the difference in the first. So when the difference in the first is 0, 3 times the Preds have scored 0 goals. 7 times they have scored 1. And that seems to be, that's the biggest number there. Anyway, let's get away from this before I get too deep into something and confuse everybody, including myself. So I'll spend a little bit more time and try to make sure I understand what I'm trying to do in those particular graphs. It's kind of interesting to look at sometimes. So we've done the result correlations, which takes us to winning goals. Winning goal here in Nashville. So the other night, how did that go? Carolina scored a goal in the first and 3 in the third. So the second goal was the second/winning goal was scored in the third period here in Nashville. That has happened the most the third period 6 times. So 32% of the time the winning goal is scored in the third period. Next up is the second period at 26%. And then the first and overtime come in next with 3 and a shootout twice. When the Preds lose, fairly even, 2 in the first, 3 in the second, 4 in the third, 2 in overtime. The Preds win 1-2-2-1-2. So go figure. Very evenly split between the different periods. They're equal opportunity winning goal scoring organization. You gotta like that, right? I mean, they're not prejudiced against any particular period. They like to score the winning goal wherever they can. Spread it around. Home team versus road team winning. So those are fairly equal for the Preds games. The home team has won 17 times. The road team has won 16. When the home team wins 35% of the time, it does happen in the second period, which is a 2-1 advantage over the other one. So 6 times it's been in the second, 3 in the first, third, and overtime, and then 2 in a shootout. For the road team, 7 times out of 16, the third period, 44%. After that is the second period with 4, 25%, then 3 in overtime and 2 in the first. Taking that information and then going and looking how are the Preds doing when they enter the periods, winning, tied, or losing. So we're not talking about the first period because the first period, they always enter the first period tied. Amazing how that works out. So the other night they did lose the first, tied the second, but they did come into the second period losing. That has happened 5 times. Oh, wow, this is really interesting. All the scenarios have happened either 5 or 9 times. The Preds have come into the second period winning 5 times, losing 5 times, and tied 9. They've come into the third period here in Nashville winning 5 times, tied 5 times, and losing 9. So coming into the second and third period, winning has happened 10 times, 5 each, second and third. Just kind of interesting how those numbers line up. Let's go through the second period. Can I keep it, try to keep it on task here. 5 times the Preds have entered the second period winning. They are outscoring their opponents 8-6 in those situations. The 9 times they've entered the second period tied, 8-10. So they're outscored by 2 over 9 games. And when they enter the second period losing 5 times, not a lot of scoring, 1-3. So only 4 goals scored total in the 5 games here in Nashville when the Preds come into the second period losing. I guess that way they at least keep it close, kind of. I don't know. Looking at the third period, 5 times they've come into the third period winning, and they are being outscored 4-7. One of the Preds' goals being an empty net, so really 3-7. Coming into the third period tied has also happened 5 times. They are outscoring the opponents 4-3. No empty net goals in those situations. And 9 times coming into the third period losing, and they have been outscored 8-16. So 2-1 in the third period when they come into the third period losing, which has happened as much as anything else. Good news there. 6 are empty net goals. So really, they're being outscored 8-10 when they come into the third period losing before pulling the goaltender. Not really what you like to see there. But all of that takes us to matchups. And what do we have in the matchups? The matchups, we want to talk about goal scoring. Well, this is going to be fun. We got 3 teams to talk about. The Preds are home. 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 All right, so Toronto and New York are on the road. Both New York and Nashville have played 19 games, and their scenario tops in the league. There are only 2 teams that have played more home games than Nashville, 5 that have played the same number, and 24 that have played less. The Rangers, having played 19 games on the road, fortunately for them, they're a good road team. Only 4 teams have played more. 1 has played the same, and 26 teams have played less. The Toronto Maple Leafs have played the least number of road games, having played 13. And so 31 teams have played more. So if you were looking just at overall numbers, wouldn't necessarily be representative. Toronto, no, that's when the Preds are away. So let's get to it. Let's talk about goals for. On the road, the Maple Leafs are scoring 3.15 goals a game. The Rangers, similar, 3.16 goals a game. On average, 2.97. So both of these teams are above average. Rangers are 8th. The Toronto Maple Leafs are 9th in scoring on the road. At home, the Preds are 26th in the league in scoring, 2.74 a game when league average is 3.04. The first period, all three of these teams look good. The Maple Leafs are scoring 1.08 goals a game. The Rangers 1.05 and the Preds 0.95. So the Toronto Leafs are second in the league in scoring in the first period per game. The Rangers are fourth on the road. I'm fourth in scoring per game in the first period on the road. League average being 0.85, so they're at least 0.2 of a goal. The Preds 0.95 in the first period is ahead of league average, 0.86 being the league average. So all three of these teams pretty good against the league in scoring in the first period. In this particular configuration, them being on the road, Predators being at home. The second period, dropped like a rock. Toronto and Nashville fall to 21st, respectively, in their situation, and New York to 28th. 28th. So the Maple Leafs are scoring 0.92 goals a game in the second, and the Rangers 0.74. The league average is 0.96. So Rangers are about a quarter of a goal behind league average in the second period, and Maple Leafs aren't too far off. 0.04. It was pretty close to league average. The Preds 0.89 is significantly, it's 0.17 away. So league average in the second period for home teams is 1.06. The Preds 0.09 or 0.89. Come to the third period. The Maple Leafs get a little better. The Rangers get a lot better. The Rangers come up to 7th in the league in scoring on the road in the third period. The Preds still, hang out down in 25th. So the Preds' best period scoring goals is the first. But they've scored 18 goals in the first, 17 in the second, and 16 in the third, which is not kind of how. At home, there is a downtick between the second and third period for home teams. So going down from the second to the third is pretty consistent with the league. Dropping from the first to the second is not. On average, home teams are scoring 22% more goals in the second period than the first, but that's not what the Preds are doing. In the third period, the Maple Leafs are scoring just over 1 goal a game, 1.08. The Rangers scoring 1.21 to be 7th in the league. Toronto is 14th in the league, scoring the third period at home. League average for road teams in the third period is 1.07, so Maple Leafs are right at league average. In the second and third periods, again, the first period, they are second in the league in scoring per game on the road. And the Preds, 0.84, 25th in the league, scoring at home. League average is 1.05, so 20.21 off the average. And so that's goal scoring. So the Rangers look pretty good in the first and third, and the Maple Leafs look good in the first and average in the second and third, and the Preds look good in the first and moving on. In the second and third. So goals against, wow. The Rangers are per game have the lowest goals against on the road. 2.26. 2.26 goals against. League average for teams on the road is 3.04. Now the Maple Leafs are above that. They are almost half a goal ahead. So they are, when it comes to goal scoring, they're 9th in the league in being scored on per game. The Preds are 8th in the league at home, being scored on per game, 3.37. League average, 2.96, so just under 3, but the Preds are 3.37 goals a game. Toronto likes to be scored on in the first and third. They're 6th in the league in the first, 5th in the league in the third, 16th in the second, so they're not opposed. Goals against in the second period, 1.05, and Toronto 1.0. So they are, 1.15 in the first, league average being 0.87. And then in the fifth, league average is 1.05, and they're 1.3. So they are average at scoring goals in the second and third, and they like to give up goals in the first and third. They like to score in the first. So Maple Leafs like to score, and they like to be scored against in the first period. So that's how that goes. The Rangers, the hardest team to score against, apparently, in the first period, it's league average. 0.87 is the league average of being scored on the road, and they're at 0.84. They're 16th in the league. The second period, nada, 0.63. 0.63. The Rangers have given up 11 goals in the second period in 19 games. 0.63. League average is 1.05, so that's 0.42 differential. That's you get a goal against the Rangers in the second period. I guess yeah. Third, the Preds 10th in the league and being scored on in the second period, 1.0, league average being 0.96. So it's really 10th in the league, but they're only 0.04 above league average, so it's not horrible. They are 13th in the league and being scored on in the first period, 0.89, league average being 0.84. So the Preds really are in the first and second periods right about league average when it's being scored on in the first and second period. That goes away in the third. Toronto and Nashville are both 5th, respectively, in their situation. In the third period, Toronto 1.31, league average 1.05. The Preds 1.37, league average being 1.07. So, New York still hard to score against, 28th in the league. 28th in the league, giving up 0.74, and league average being 1.05. So tough to score on the road. The Rangers be. And they will score in the first and third. So that's what that looks like. The Preds toughest in the first period, I guess you'd have to say, and then it all goes to wherever come the third period. The Preds give up more goals as the game goes along and score less goals as the game goes along would be the trend. And both trends are what they are. Those are the trends. So that is goal scoring. Take a quick look at the power play. Let's see here. The Preds are at home. Penalty kill, Preds at home. Penalty kill, Preds at home. So the Preds have now dropped to 2nd in the league on the penalty kill on the road. The Maple Leafs are 6th in the league on the road, and the Rangers 17th in the league. The Maple Leafs have given up 6 goals on 40 opportunities. They have scored a shorthanded goal. So when it comes to per games, the total shorthanded is 15th in the league. So kind of, right around the middle of the league. Goals against per goals played 7th. And so that's good. So only 6 other teams have given up less goals against per goals played. So you'd have to say they're, given the number of times they've been shorthanded, the number of goals they've given up is a good ratio. Preds 2nd in the league, 88.7%, 7 goals against on 62 opportunities. So they've given up 1 more goal on 22 more opportunities. They've played 6 more games, but 1 goal on 22 more opportunities. They have scored a shorthanded goal. All 3 teams have scored a shorthanded goal. Total shorthanded per games played, the Preds are second in the league, so taking a lot of penalties here in Nashville. Second in the league, goals against per goals played, so only 1 team is better. I think that team turned out to be Buffalo. Buffalo now has a better road penalty kill, or home penalty kill, than the Preds, but still pretty good. And for the Rangers, they, like I said, they're middle of the league, 80.7%, 11 goals on 57 opportunities. So they have given up 5 more goals than the Maple Leafs on 17 more opportunities, having played 6 more games. The Preds have given up 1 more goal, or given up 4 less goals on 5 more opportunities than the Rangers, and they played the same number of games. Total shorthanded for the Rangers, 19th in the league, so below average on number of times shorthanded, below, I guess, in the bottom half of the league, and then 15th in goals against. So I guess that ratio is at least going in the right direction. But yeah, their penalty kill maybe not as effective as the other 2 teams. Well, that'd be actually what 6th and 17th. Yeah, so I guess from a percentage standpoint, Toronto's is better than the Rangers. When it comes to the power play, on the road, the Maple Leafs are next to last, 10.8%, 4 goals, 4 on 37 opportunities, and they've given up 2 shorthanded goals. They are 15th in the league and being on the power play per game, so kind of middle of the league, but 30th in the league in goals for per games played, so not very good power play on the road. The Rangers, 6th in the league, pretty good, 25%, 11 goals on 44 opportunities, so you don't want to give them too many opportunities. They have given up 3 shorthanded goals, though. Their net percentage, 18.2%. 30th in the league, though, on number of power plays, so they are one of the least. Their games have got to be some of the least penalized games with penalties in them, because they're 19th in the league on the penalty kill and number of times they've been shorthanded, and 30th in the league per game, number of times that they've been on the power play. 15th in the league in goals for. So given that they're in the bottom per game on number of times they're in power play, to be middle of the league, that's pretty good. Pretty good for them. The Preds power play at home, 16th in the league, 19%, 11 goals for on 58 opportunities. So the same number of goals scored as the Rangers, but 14 more opportunities, have not given up a shorthanded goal. So their net rank is 14th in the league, does rise up. 23rd in the league on power plays per game for a home team, so in the bottom. And as far as goals for per game play, 18th. So that's close. So I'd still say those numbers are on the right side of things. The Preds power play is okay. The Rangers power play is good. Toronto's power play, not so good. And the penalty kill, kind of goes the other way around. The Rangers are okay on the penalty kill, good on the power play. So that's how that all shakes out. People to watch. This gets long. I'm going to be real quick here. There's Toronto just... They've got 3 on the road. They've got 3 players that have 4 goals, and their stats really that was pretty much it. Austin Matthews, number 34, is 6th in time on ice and 1st in shots. Morgan Riley, defenseman Morgan Riley, number 44, 1st in assists, so he's 1st in points, 8 assists, 10 points. He's 1st in ice time, 21:59. And then 2nd in assists, the guy has 7, but that's Domi. But that's his only stat. Other people with 4 are McMahon and Robertson. So it's like, what do we point out here? John Tavares, number 91 center, second on the team with 39 shots. And when it comes to those that are over 20% shooting percentage, there are 4, but no more than 7. I guess maybe Robertson. Oh, right. I've got him listed twice. No wonder that's confusing. So Robertson, I guess, has 17 shots, 4 goals, which is tied for first on the league and 20 in the team, and he's 4th on the team with a 23.5% shooting percentage. So that would be really the only one. John Kroc, 2 goals, 5 shots. Lawton, 2 goals, 8 shots. Dakota Joshua. There's 2 Dakotas on this team, which kind of got me at first because there's Dakota that's injured, and then there's Dakota Johnson, 3 goals, which I guess 3 goals would be second on the team, or 4th, since with 3 guys at 4, on 12 shots. So not a lot of shots, not a lot of goals, 25%. So that's a lot of people listed. The other game was on the road for the Preds, and these are stats for on the road for Toronto. Although of all the people that I do have listed out, people that did score were Ekman, Larson, Tavares, McMahon, Matthews got 2, one of which was an empty net, and Nylander who got an empty net. Of the people listed, Jake McCabe is the only one without any stats to talk about, but he got a goal in the first game. But again, Toronto was at home, so I don't know. I guess I should have related that more to their stats than looking at the road stats, but that's what I've done. It's a little bit easier when we come down to the New York. So anyway, so I don't know. Riley, 44. Otherwise, everything else would be so evenly distributed that it wouldn't necessarily, you don't necessarily know what to do with Toronto, I guess would be the way, the positive way to spin that. For the Rangers on the road, first you've got number 92 center Mika Zibanejad. He's first on the team with 7 goals, third with 8 assists, but that does not make him first in points. He is third on the team with time on ice, 2020, and first in shots with 55. JT Miller does have 7 goals as well, number 8 left wing. He does have a 20% shooting percentage, 35 shots and 7 goals, so that's worth noting. Number 10 left wing Artemi Panarin is injured, might be back, I think, for either one of these games this weekend. He's third on the team in goals with 6, but first with assists with 18. So that puts him first on the team with points, and then he's second on the team with 43 shots. Also second on the team in points and second in assists is another injured player, Adam Fox, and he also has the most ice time. So I think and he's not going to be back. So I think that really going to kind of miss him. The only other player that they've got over 20% besides JT Miller was Gabe Perreault, who has 1 goal on 2 shots. In the last game with the Rangers, goals were scored by Zibanejad, Vladislav Gavrikov, Alexis Lafreniere, who got a power play goal. Panarin got 2 goals, and then Will Kuhl. I don't know if I'm saying that right. So I think, really probably the most dangerous player out there is, the 2 would be Zibanejad and Miller, number 92, number 8. For the Preds, goal leader here at home is Forsberg. Second is Stamkos, and O'Reilly is third with 6. Forsberg is first on the team in points and first in shots. Stamkos is third on the team in shots. O'Reilly, Mr. Statman, in addition to being third on the team with 6 goals, he's second on the team with 8 assists. He's third on the team with 14 points. He's fifth on the team in ice time with 1950. And then Luke Evangelista does lead the team in assists with 12, so he's second on the team in points with 15, second on the team in shots with 45. Also, third on the team with 7 assists. You know, we go from 12 to 8 to 7 on assists. Well, in goals we go 11 to 7 to 6. But 7 assists is Hala and Yossi. 2 players that are over 20% shooting percentage. Number 49, left wing Reed Schaefer, 28.6%, 2 goals on 7 shots. And more interestingly, number 58, left wing Michael Bunting, 5 goals on 25 shots. For the Preds, goal scoring against Toronto came from McCarron, Holland, Yossi, and Perbix. And then against the Rangers, it was Matthew Wood getting a hat trick, and with along those lines, 2 power play goals. So that was the scoring for them. Momentum. Toronto is on the road 5-8-0. They have lost their last 2 games. They're 2-2-2 in the last 6, 5-3-2 in the last 10. The last road trip, they were 4-2. And they're 4-1-0 against the Central, having beaten Nashville, Utah, St. Louis, and Chicago, and losing to Chicago. It's decent momentum, I guess. For the Rangers, on the road, 12-5-1. They did win their last game, stopping a 2-game losing streak. They're 2-3-2 in their last 7, and 4-4-2 in their last 10. Their last road trip was a single-game road trip. It was a win the other night, 2-1 in overtime versus St. Louis, and they play at home Saturday against Philadelphia. All 3 teams, remember, are playing back-to-back Saturday, Sunday. Against the Central, the Rangers are 4-4-1, having beaten Nashville, St. Louis twice, and Dallas, losing to Minnesota, Colorado, Utah, and Chicago, and overtime loss to Colorado. For the Preds, they're 8-8-2. They did win their last game. No, they did not win their last game. They lost their last game. Nice production. Way to really forget about that last team. Yeah, I had to stop my recording because the stats were all wrong because I hadn't updated my spreadsheet based on the last game. Then I have to talk to the production staff about that. 2 days off and all things go wrong. What are you going to do? Anyway, 7-3-0 in the last 10. I don't think that's true anymore, but the last homestand, they were 2-0, having beaten Colorado and St. Louis against the Atlantic. These, I'm sure, are pretty right. 3-3-1 against the Atlantic, beating Detroit, Ottawa, and Florida, losing to Florida, Tampa Bay, and Toronto, and then overtime loss to Montreal. 2-6-0 against the Metropolitan, beating the Blue Jackets and Pittsburgh, losing to Carolina twice, Philadelphia twice, the Rangers, and Pittsburgh. So there you go, a mixed bag of momentum. The strongest momentum you got to say is the Rangers on the road. The Rangers on the road are kind of scary, especially from their record as far as their power play is good on the road, and their penalty kill is good, is adequate. Anyway, so the Rangers, I think, out of this is the most dangerous team. Of course, we'll see how that all shakes out, and hopefully the Preds can get through all this with 2 wins, and then we'll go on a 7-game road trip. Okay, so that's going to do it for today. Go Preds! Weekend of hockey here in Nashville. Thanks for listening. I'm Preston Proctor, and you've been listening to Predators Proclivity.